Hi, I'm Peter Mallouk. Welcome to 1,000 Miles from Wall Street. I'm here with one of our top advisors across the entire firm, Ryan Swartz. Welcome.
Thank you.
And one of the things we always talk about, and we've talked about from our early days together, you're one of the first people here at Creative Planning and really helped us build the whole thing from the ground up. And one of the big parts of our story was that we were an independent firm. And obviously that's not incredibly unique. I mean, the industry's got a lot of independent advisors, but the landscape has really changed. And people, I still think, are today just as confused about what their advisor's responsibilities to them are and what type of advisor they should be looking for. It's interesting. We're doing a couple podcasts today, and on the break we wound up having a long discussion about this. We thought, we should have recorded this because this is really probably really valuable to a lot of folks. We get these questions asked every day. So, when you're talking to your clients and prospective clients about how we differ, what do you share with them?
Well, I think that's a great point. Every single day, you and I are both chatting with folks about what should they be looking for when they bring on an advisor. And the industry is very confusing. I think for those that aren't in it every day, we forget about that. And we spend a lot of our time educating on the different types of advice that people can consume in the United States. And I try to keep that very simple, with areas that clients can understand. First, we want to look at an advisor who only has your family's interests at heart all the time, as much as possible. And one way to do that is to work with an independent advisor that's a true fiduciary. And when I say true fiduciary, I just mean that they don't have an affiliation with a product or a fund, or they don't own or maintain or sell or receive any revenue or commission or kickback from any product. And that really resonates with clients to understand if those interests are aligned, if they're not here down the road, that their family's still going to be taken care of, and the avenue for how they receive the advice is unconflicted all the time, and they're going to get very candid, direct advice. So that's really building block number one, is to partner with someone who truly has independence and your framework in mind all the time.
Yeah, I think that very first framework is the most important. I mean, a lot of prospective clients are very focused on who's the most competent and who do I like the most, and those things matter a lot. But the first prism with which they can filter out the industry and make it a lot easier is you can take the 380,000 or so advisors and block out 90% of them if you just say, does this person work at a firm where they get paid more if I buy certain things, where their company makes more money if I buy one investment over another, or where this company actually owns the investments that they're going to recommend to me? You don't go to a Ford dealer and ask them what kind of car should you buy. You're going to get a Ford. You don't go to a doctor who has one medicine in there, three medicines that pharmaceutical companies give them kickbacks on. You're probably going to get one of those three medications. So it's just such an easy way to filter that out. It's not easy when you're talking to an advisor, because a lot of brokers are fiduciaries sometimes, right? So they've got a way of really framing that. Any other screens that we could share with our audience about how they can filter out advisors?
Yes, I think related to that same topic, what really opens the eyes of a lot of folks is that they oftentimes maybe have an experience with a custodian that they enjoy, so a discount brokerage firm that really manages their costs and keeps that low. I oftentimes educate on the separation of where you custody your money from the advisor that you work with. And that's one way to really help to mitigate fraud, theft, or default, making sure that the situations don't occur where there's a Ponzi scheme or some type of activity that can be fraudulent. The easiest way to own that is to know that I want to be able to access my money on my own terms all the time without the help of my advisor. And I actually want the advisor playing a role in helping me as my family's fiduciary to help scale and find the best opportunity for where I should be custodying my money. Mm-hmm. So can you imagine, we see people that in our line of work, obviously we see them through all their life, accumulation, distribution, incapacity, and ultimately death. None of us are getting out of here alive. And so one of the things that I think is unique is oftentimes you'll see that a client will have a relationship for a long term with a comfort level on a custodian that they may like. Mm-hmm. And over that period of time, they may pass on, and then ultimately whoever the next trustee is, the firm, all the money migrates to maybe a full cost brokerage house, and now their fees are higher, which the person that was living never would have went for that understood that. As our role as a fiduciary, it's really helping make sure that they are in the best possible position with the advice they're getting in the most competent way, and also that there's separation from who's giving the advice and who's holding the money, because 10 years, 20 or 30 years from now that could change, and you want an advisor that's going to be able to change with you and give you that advice. So I think that opens a lot of people's eyes. They don't really consider that if I'm going to this advisor, they actually hold the money too, and they're employed by the person that actually holds the money, and they may be compensated on certain products that company owns as well. A firm like Creative separates all that out. We don't have any products. We don't custody the money. We don't have any desire to receive any revenue or any commission or anything from any product. So I think that's a big one.
And then the third thing that you had mentioned was scale and just the benefits of specialization. So you speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I think all of us have had experiences in our life where in different fields that maybe we aren't specialized in, and we go to the best we can find for help. And that's what's happening with money. People work their whole life and what they've saved and many generations have saved for. They want to do the best they can with that capital, and they want to partner with the very best that they can. And I oftentimes laugh because sometimes we'll see people that think, hey, creative planning is growing very fast. Are you too big? Or in the grand scheme of things, we're very small, when you look at another lens of that. And I always give the analogy, I live in Nebraska, if somebody worked with a very small physician in Western Nebraska, when you had a major medical issue, and that person maybe only sees one of those cases every 5 years, are you better off with that, or are you better off flying to a hub where some specialist is seeing that day in, day out? Of course, when people have a major medical issue, they want the best and brightest. They don't care where it is, and they want a team. And so that's how creative planning is structured, how we work with clients. You have that point person that knows your situation inside and out, but they can't possibly know everything in the best degree across all aspects of wealth management. And so to have a whole team that just specializes in tax, or just specializes in law, or financial planning, or property and casualty, or risk management, to have that all under the same umbrella, it allows the specialist to really deliver the best advice. And then overall, you're making sure you're looking at all those aspects in your plan.
Yeah, I think specialization, you really can't overstate what that does for a client. I mean, I've been in the industry 20 years, started as state attorney, I'm certified financial planner, all these things and I sat with thousands of clients doing legal planning and investments, and still I get asked questions where I go, I'm not the best guy to answer that, especially when we get around Social Security or health insurance, there are just different things here in certain tax issues where I go, we got to bring in the CPA. We've got to bring in somebody who specializes in helping you make Social Security decisions. We've got to bring in somebody that can help you figure out the best health plan for you, because I don't have the depth and breadth of knowledge in those areas to do that for you. And when we started out, we didn't have those specialists, and so you really do have that benefit. And I remember when you used the healthcare analogy, which I think is perfect. My mom wasn't having a hard time with a stroke. We went and found the best team at the best hospital we could find. And yes, we wanted to like the people. We wanted to make sure they were competent, but we wanted to make sure they had the best technology and the specialists in place, that wherever her care needed to go, they were going to be able to help. And I think that kind of decision making is what you're seeing happen in the financial world, which is why you're seeing some independent firms do very well. I think we're I think the leader of that pack, and we're very proud of what we've done in the independent space. But it's wonderful to see the average American start to figure that out and start to migrate towards firms like Creative.
It's huge. If you can get the specialized competency in all those areas under one umbrella, and those folks talking to each other and seeing that every day, you're managing the best outcome you can, and the likelihood that gaps are formed are less, and the likelihood that your outcome is greater is better with an advisor that's competent in all those areas and has no conflicts around those.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's great advice. Thanks, Ryan, for being with us.
You're welcome.
This commentary is provided for general information purposes only and should not be construed as investment, tax, or legal advice. Past performance of any market results is no assurance of future performance. The information contained herein has been obtained from sources deemed to be reliable but is not guaranteed.